Welcome back to Grimverse History, where we uncover the strange and forgotten sides of history. Tonight we step away from crowns, cathedrals, and shining armor. We descend into the 5 most disturbing jobs of the Middle Ages. Behind every medieval miracle stood someone knee-deep in filth. Luxury existed because someone else touched what nobody wanted. The dirtiest work built the cleanest illusions. You walk through a narrow street after sunset, the air feels damp, heavy, and strangely alive. You hear scraping, splashing, breathing in the dark. You realize civilization smells different up close. If this quiet journey keeps you company tonight, gently subscribe for more forgotten stories whispered from history's shadows, and tell us softly where you are listening from now. Dim the lights and slow your breathing. Let the modern world loosen its grip for a while. Allow the past to approach without knocking. It is late in the Middle Ages, long before comfort mattered. You are not a king, knight, or scholar tonight. You are standing beside those who kept the world running. The workshop smells before you see anything clearly. Warm air hangs low, thick, and strangely familiar. Wooden walls sweat softly in the early morning light. You hear slow splashing, steady, almost meditative. You step closer and look down carefully. Large vats rest quietly, filled with cloudy liquid. Men stand inside them, legs submerged without complaint. Their movements follow a rhythm learned through repetition. This is not punishment, at least not officially. This is work, necessary, reliable, and quietly profitable. The wool trade feeds kingdoms, cities, and noble wardrobes. Fine cloth begins here, far from silk-lined halls. The fuller does not weave or design beauty. He prepares it by removing what nature leaves behind. Grease, dirt, and time cling stubbornly to wool. The solution is simple, abundant, and socially invisible. Buckets arrive daily from surrounding households. Nothing is wasted when chemistry becomes convenient. You notice how practicality often ignores dignity. Efficient rarely asks permission from comfort. Hours pass with steady, aching patience. Feet press down, lift, and press again. The liquid stings lightly, then numbs sensation. Skin learns endurance before the mind does. You watch shoulders slump, then straighten again. Conversation stays minimal, save for cleaner moments. Laughter appears sometimes, brief and dry. Humor survives where conditions insist it shouldn't. Outside, merchants discuss prices and export routes. Inside, joints swell and rashes quietly spread. The fuller becomes marked by his usefulness. His presence announces itself long before introductions, even among medieval standards. Distance forms naturally. People step aside. Conversations shorten. Invitations fade. Luxury prefers separation from its own origins. Soft cloaks forget the feet that made them possible. You might expect resentment to grow here instead. Routine settles in like a second skin. Work finishes, wages appear, life continues. Necessity dulls outrage more effectively than philosophy. The fuller understands his position clearly. He is essential, yet rarely acknowledged directly. Society nods without making eye contact. Gratitude feels awkward when filtered through smell. Cloth immersed cleaner, ready for refinement elsewhere. The men step out slowly, legs stiff, expressions neutral. Another invisible transformation completes without applause. You realize something gently unsettling in this moment. Comfort always begins somewhere inconvenient for someone. Beauty rarely introduces itself honestly. Someone always stands where others refuse to look. The human value rests quietly at the end. Dignity does not depend on pleasant conditions. It lives in persistence, not recognition. Civilization rests on patience we rarely thank. Morning fog clings low over the marsh. Cold water waits without hurry or apology. You step in slowly, feeling mud accept your weight. Reeds whisper, as if they already know you. Women stand still, skirts lifted, breath carefully measured. They do not chase anything, not even hope. They wait, because waiting is the method. Patience becomes the first tool of the day. Small ripples touch the skin and pause. Then a gentle pull begins. Precise and persistent, you feel attention gather where warmth remains. The body understands before language intervenes. This is medicine, according to the books. Balance requires release. Pressure demands subtraction. The theory sounds tidy when spoken indoors. Out here, it feels practical in a colder way. You watch hands move calmly, practiced and efficient. A careful peel, a container, a small nod. No drama, no comment, no counting aloud. Routine keeps fear from becoming louder. Coins. Wait later. Light and disappointing. The exchange rate favors survival, not comfort. Each day trades strength for a little time. Economics rarely asks how it feels. The water numbs ankles, then resolves nothing. Bites become marks. Marks become familiar. Dizziness arrives politely, then stays longer. The body adapts by lowering expectations. You notice how stillness becomes a skill. Moving less brings better results here. Ambition sinks quickly in soft ground. Doctors elsewhere discuss outcomes and improvements. Shelves fill with jars labeled neatly. No one mentions where the supply begins. Clean hands enjoy complicated explanations. At midday, clouds shift without ceremony. Someone hums a tune learned long ago. It helps time pass, if not faster. Songs work when theories fail. You imagine the city beyond the marsh. Stones warm in sunlight. Doors open politely. Hell feels abstract there, almost deserved. Distant makes sacrifice look theoretical. By afternoon, the water releases its grip. Legs tremble slightly, then regain their shape. Curtains seal, skirts lower, steps turn homeward. The work ends without any witness. You sense the quiet irony settling in. Healing asks the vulnerable to pay first. Progress often spends lives before learning better methods. Mistakes wear authority until corrected later. The day leaves a soft lesson behind. Care deserves gratitude beyond results and theories. Human effort holds systems together imperfectly. Respect begins where comfort ends. Night settles when the streets finally exhale. Lanterns dim, shutters close, and footsteps thin out. You smell damp stone cooling after a long day. Silence arrives, practical and slightly relieved. This is when the work begins. Quietly, you walk with a cart that knows these alleys. Wood creaks softly. Iron rings whisper restraint. The city pretends not to see you pass. A hatch opens with practiced caution. Warm air rises, carrying yesterday's decisions. You pause, breathing shallow, counting patience. The ladder waits, honest about the descent. You climb down slowly, testing each rung. Walls press close, offering no opinions. The space feels older than the building above. Time collects here, refusing to move on. Buckets scrape, then settle into routine. Your hands learn weight without naming contents. You move carefully, because haste teaches lessons. Darkness encourages respect for invisible hazards. The air feels thick, persuasive, and slightly impatient. You keep the lantern steady away from argument. Calm becomes a safety measure, not a virtue. Professionalism is breathing at the right moments. Above you, families sleep without thinking. Children dream, bakers rest. Prayers continue quietly. Health depends on absence. You provide nightly. Comfort enjoys forgetting its maintenance schedule. You notice how laws prefer nighttime solutions. Work happens when witnesses prefer rest. Payment arrives reliably, if never generously. You haul, lift, pour, and repeat patiently. Muscles remember sequences better than names. The cart fills, then accepts one more load. Complete and looks like sunrise approaching politely. When you surface, the air feels forgiving. Stars fade as birds practice early announcements. You move toward city limits, careful with timing. Dawn does not like reminders of infrastructure. People will wait, praising cleanliness and order. They will not ask how it stayed that way. The system works best when invisible. Gratitude prefers plausible deniability. You rinse tools, hands, and expectations thoroughly. Neighbors nod without curiosity or invitation. Distance forms naturally, then hardens into habit. Utility does not carry the weight home. At least the city still stands today. That is considered a successful shift. MIG remains simple in essential occupations. As light spreads, the streets look innocent again. Stone gleams, doors open, commerce resumes confidently. Your work dissolves into yesterday's quiet. Success here leaves no monument. You realize a steady truth settling gently. Cities survive through uncelebrated nightly courage. Health relies on people willing to be unseen. Care often wears uncomfortable uniforms. The human value rests without ceremony. Dignity grows from responsibility, not applause. Respect begins when we remember hidden labor. The city breathes easier because you returned. The workshop sits beyond the last polite house. Wind reaches it first, carrying warnings ahead. You smell the place before you recognize it. Distance here feels intentional, carefully maintained. You step closer, shoes sinking into work earth. Pits line the ground, dark and quietly active. Hides rest there, pale and waiting for change. Transformation rarely happens without discomforts. The tanner works without rushing the process. Hands move steadily, already numb to resistance. Every motion follows a sequence learned by necessity. Mistakes linger longer than compliments ever do. You notice the mixtures prepared nearby. Nothing refined, nothing wasted, nothing explained. Brains soften fibers, waste breaks, stubborn stiffness. Chemistry arrives long before the word exists. The air presses gently against your throat. It does not attack, it simply stays. Adaptation happens faster than protest here. You watch skin change character under patient attention. Rigid becomes flexible, lifeless becomes useful. The process demands time, pressure, and acceptance. Beauty begins as something people avoid touching. Shoes, saddles, belts, and armor start here. Markets display them proudly under clean canopies. No sign mentions the outskirts or their smells. You feel the quiet exile in small details. Neighbors live farther apart than necessary. Children learn which paths not to take. Belonging stops short of the workshop gate. The tanner knows this arrangement well. Payment arrives, conversations rarely do. Goods travel inward. Respect stays outside. Utility does not negotiate social comfort. Workdays end with rinsed hands and patience. The smell leaves slowly, sometimes not at all. Clothing carries traces despite repeated washing. Occupations mark people more than names. You stand there noticing an odd consistency. Society keeps its tools at arm's length. Necessary things are better not seen closely. Clean space require unclean origins. Evening light softens the pits and hides. The day's labor rests without applause. Clean feels quiet and adequate. You sense a restrained kind of pride here. Not celebrated, not requested, but present. Making something durable requires stubborn care. Longevity asks for uncomfortable beginnings. Dry humor survives in shared glances. At least the leather holds together well. Failure would smell even worse. As you step back toward the road, the air improves gradually, almost politely. The town resumes its agreeable distance. Comfort restores itself without comment. You carry a human truth away gently. Value does not always align with approval. Essential work often lives where praise does not. Respect grows when we acknowledge uncomfortable foundations. Night sharpens every sound inside the city. Wood settles, stone cools, breath slows reluctantly. You hear scratching where silence should feel safe. Something small moves with too much confidence. You follow narrow passages with practiced caution. Torches stay low, avoiding unnecessary attention. Grain stores breathe softly behind thick doors. Rats understand abundance better than people admit. They travel unseen, mapping routes by scent and habit. Before anyone speaks of causes or theories, these shapes already know where warmth gathers. The catcher moves where others hesitate briefly. Crouching low hands feel walls before eyes. Trust you sense presence without clear outline. Fear here feels diffuse, difficult to locate. Traps sit quietly, patient and unimpressed. No chase, no drama, no heroic moment appears. This work rewards stillness and careful listening. Victory arrives quietly, sometimes unnoticed. You notice the places chosen for this trade. Cellars, drains, abandoned corners. Near nothing polite, the air feels stale, carrying old decisions. Breathing becomes deliberate. They blame air, seasons, or divine moods. The real couriers move without names. Understanding lags behind consequence by generations. The catcher handles what others prefer imagined. Fur, movement, sudden weight inside the trap. Gloves stay thin, protection remains symbolic. Rusk accepts reset traps at payment. You watch hands reset traps efficiently. No celebration, only continuation. Each removal delays something worse. Arriving prevention rarely receives visible gratitude. Neighbors avoid eye contact during daylight. They accept results, not methods or presence. Clean streets enjoy selective blindness. Help feels easier when anonymous. You sense dry humor forming naturally, at least the enemy stays small and predictable. Bigger threats rarely fit into cages. Prospect adjusts expectations quietly. Night after night, paths repeat themselves. Routes memorized by foot, smell, and memory. The city sleeps through these adjustments. Rest depends on unseen vigilance. You step into a storage room briefly. Dust floats, grain smells faintly sweet, signs of passage mark the edges. Absence feels earned, not guaranteed. When dawn approaches, the work recedes again. Traps are checked, notes remain mental. Hands rinse quickly, never completely. The day resumes without acknowledgement. You walk away as streets wake slowly. Bakers open doors, merchants arrange wares. Normal life resumes without interruption. Success here looks like nothing happened. The human value arrives quietly at the end. Caring means meeting danger before it announces itself. Peace depends on those who face invisible threats. The night grows quieter now. The pace softens without asking permission. The journey settles like dust after footsteps. You can still sense the medieval streets, stone cooling under moonlight, damp and patient. A faint echo of work continuing after dark. Somewhere water drips into unseen channels. Wood creaks where carts once rolled slowly. The air holds a memory it never kept. These places do not shout to be remembered. They wait, like rooms no one visits anymore. Their silence feels earned, not empty. Imagine a heavy door closing gently, not locked, just rested in its frame. The past steps back without resistance. You are here again, where you started listening. The room feels familiar, calm, forgiving. Breathing deepens. Shoulders loosen naturally. What lingers is not discomfort or shock. It is awareness, quiet, and slightly warmer, the sense that unseen work always existed, hands that carried weight so others could forget, lies that absorb what society refused to touch, care expressed through endurance, not praise. If these stories stay beside you tonight, you may like the videos softly and unhurried. Share it if someone else needs company. And if you wish, subscribe for more journeys. There is no rush and no obligation. History waits patiently in the dark. For now, let the past rest where it belongs. Let the present hold you gently. Let sleep arrive without interruption. Goodbye, and we will meet again.